Hey there, and welcome back to Ray's Random Thoughts. And oh my goodness, you guys blew me away with the views on my last Henry Danger video. Wow. I was not expecting that kind of response, so thank you so much. And as a reward for that, I'm making another Henry Danger video. And this one is my top 5 Henry Danger villains from the series. Which, just to be clear, these are my top 5. I'm not saying like they are the ultimate best that have ever existed in the series. They're just my favorites. But with that out of the way, let's get this started with number 5. Gwen. Now, this may seem like a weird choice just because she only appeared in one episode, and I'm guessing there are probably plenty of people out there who can't even remember who this is because she was only in one episode. But I really liked her as a villain because she wasn't somebody that they had to fight. They had to figure out her game. She manipulated the heroes. And that was an interesting take to do because usually you just end it in some big climactic fight. But with her, it was kind of like she was playing this mind game with them. And they didn't end the episode by defeating her. She got away, and she knows who they are. And that is huge. So I am really hoping for her to make a return. And I really hope that they don't just leave that plot thread hanging. I really want to see her again. Because they could do so much with her as a character. But moving on to number 4, Dr. Minyak. Now, this is one that if you've seen Henry Danger, you probably expected him to be on the list, just because he makes so many appearances, which is the exact opposite of Gwen. Just realized that. These are my random thoughts. But I like the kind of mischief that he causes. Like, he's just constantly trying to be evil. And he's like so bad at it. Which is just, it's amusing to me most of the time. Sometimes it's just like, why are you so stupid? But most of the time he creates a lot of fun. Just trying to be evil, but not really being too good at being evil. But he makes things interesting. And now for number 3, we have Frankini. Well, if you saw my last Henry Danger video, this should not be a surprise to you that Frankini made my list, because Frankini made it possible for Henry Danger to have a musical episode. In a believable way, too. And that earns him a special place in my heart. Because now I have more music to sing. And anyone who knows me knows that I love to sing. So Frankini was just like this perfect gift from Henry Danger to give me something more to like about it. And I just love his enthusiasm in general. Like, Frankie Grande does a great job with the role of Franchini. I mean, I think I've heard that he even helped to create the character, so I feel like that even helps it even more. Like, he knows that character very intimately, so he knows exactly what he wants to portray, which that always touches me when people have such like a special relationship with their character that they play. I love that. It always makes the acting so much better. Anyway, I could probably just keep gushing about this, but I'm going to move on to number 2. Rick Twitler. And this is another one that you kind of heard me talk about in my last Henry Danger video. Well, I didn't end up giving him as the villain as much credit as far as what I said. I really said more about the writing of the episodes that he was in. But I love him as a villain because he actually has motives that make sense, which is astounding for Henry Danger. Oh boy, they have struggled with this. But Rick Twitler, finally a villain that makes sense. Like, he wants to destroy the internet, which sounds crazy, but he wants to do it because people aren't communicating face to face anymore, which is a very real thing in our world. And I love that he was actually a villain with a real motive that we as the audience can understand. Like, we don't agree that he should destroy the internet, but we do agree that people need to communicate face to face more and form real relationships and not be so glued to their phones. And I just loved that he had a real solid motivation, that you don't agree with his methods, but you do agree with his goal of ultimately getting people to talk face to face. And it's especially kind of striking because he formed this internet company. He created their version of Twitter, which is TwitFlash. He created this online social media that actually caused all of that to happen. Well, I mean, didn't cause all of it, but he played a part in adding to that. So it's also kind of interesting that he's, in a way, he's kind of trying to correct his wrongdoings, so to speak, because he feels bad that he contributed to this loss in real relationships. But I love that he actually had real reason for what he was doing, and he was relatable. And I could just keep going on about that, but then I would never get this video done. So then, before I get to my number 1, I do have a few honorable mentions. He was the first villain they ever fought in Henry Danger, so you gotta give him credit for that. He gets nostalgia points. That's basically it. Moving on to the next one. Honestly, I don't know why I like the Time Jerker as a villain so much. Maybe just because everything about him is just so out there. I don't know. He's just interesting, I guess. Not quite interesting enough to make my top 5, but interesting nonetheless. Veronica was a villain that I really liked on Henry Danger, just because she wasn't just your like typical bad girl that's just fighting the heroes just because. She was one of the Wall Dogs, that graffiti group, but she formed this romantic relationship with Kid Danger, which kind of set her apart from the rest of the group. And you can tell that she really did have feelings for Kid Danger. But she just wasn't able to have that be the strongest pursuit of her heart. She just couldn't stay good. She just kept going back to her old ways, and of course got arrested. And we haven't seen her since. But I found her interesting just because she stuck out more in the story. She had more of a place in it. She wasn't just another bad guy. She was a love interest. And just another thing to make Henry's life 10 times more complicated than it needs to be. Anyways, now on to my one dishonorable mention, which I'm doing for my dad. Here he is. Jeff is literally said in the show to be the dumbest criminal in Swellview. And he lives up to that. And that's why he's a dishonorable mention. Enough said. But anyway, moving on to my number 1 villain from Henry Danger. Drex. Now, Drex is my favorite for many reasons. But my number 1 reason as to why he's number 1 on this list is because he was Captain Man's previous sidekick. He has a history with the heroes. And not only does that create this tension between Captain Man and Drex, because they already know each other, they used to work together, and they've already had this falling out, but it also creates this tension between Kid Danger and Captain Man, because Ray never told Henry about Drex. He never told him he had a sidekick previous to Henry, which is all kinds of drama. But another reason as to why Drex is the best villain, in my opinion, is because he provided a real threat, which is made obvious through the fact that he's able to incapacitate Captain Man for the majority of the episode. Captain Man cannot help out. And he initially defeats Kid Danger and actually drives him to the point of quitting. And the only way that Henry is able to defeat him is by getting a superpower of his own. So, part of that is just like me loving that they added something new into the plot, so they could move things forward and show consistency and all that. Because I'm a sucker for that. But the other part is just me loving this kind of connectedness that Drex had, even though he seems to have kind of come out of nowhere. And honestly, the fight at the end of that episode was really cool to watch. Oh, God. Drex, best Henry Danger villain, in my opinion. But of course, that is my opinion. So if any of you watching this out there have your own opinions on, like, who you have in your top 5 villains, if it's different to mine, if it's the same as mine, I'd love for you to share your ideas in the comments. I'd love to read them. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, or at least it's wasted some of your time hearing my random thoughts. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye!